Today's guest on the Ox podcast is a controversial figure. I will let him introduce himself, but Bilal, why don't you go for it?
First of all, my name is not Bilal. My name is Cryptosfo, but you guys can call me whatever you like. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا محمدا عبده ورسوله صفيه من خلقه وحبيبه صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم تسليما كثيرا إلى يوم الدين وبعد. يا أيها الإخوة الكرام, nice to meet you guys. My name is Cryptosfo, and I guess, yes, I am a controversial figure. I was not one until I got scammed and rug pulled, but we can start off with something light topic if you guys want, or we can dive straight into it. I mean, you guys go.
I think lighter is better. I mean, our audience love to get to know your background first and kind of what you're doing before crypto and how you got into crypto, all that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we could start with the beginning of my birth. Which hospital was it in when my mom gave labor? Forget the exact name of the hospital. Okay, I mean, how detailed do you want me to go on that?
I mean, I'd be curious. I mean, I love learning about the hospital names.
I think it was around 4:45 p.m. It was a rainy evening, and it was in Peshawar, Pakistan, which is border of Afghanistan. You know, right where Osama bin Laden lives. Hint. By the way, I'm not Osama bin Laden. I'm just saying I'm from a country that is okay. That's just okay, random. Okay, yes, I was born in Pakistan. I came out of the womb, and you know, it was almost like the birth of Jesus himself. And I'm not Jesus, but astaghfirullah. But I was a very handsome boy. You know, the people of the village were in awe of this handsome boy that was born to a family with zero wealth. Actually, no, that is not true. My mom was a doctor. My dad was an engineer, very educated. I was taught, I was like an A student since birth in every single topic that I ever studied, because my parents were very good at putting me through schooling. My dad was director of engineering. His brother literally works in the highest levels of military of Pakistan. So we come from a very prestigious family. Eventually we moved to Canada because Pakistan's not safe. And there, my parents kind of got cucked by the system in Canada. They couldn't get the same jobs they had, you know, moved at like age 45 or so. My dad, like, he's not going to go. Canada doesn't accept the university degrees of Pakistan. So he ended up, unfortunately, working as an odd job, you know, taxis, all this stuff, right? But so I basically, long story short, I came from zero money. And around age 8, my dad put me in a schooling for learning the Quran, which is the holy book of Muslims. It's like, you know, the Bible or whatever. So my childhood was very religious. Like I literally, you know, while the kids were going around playing like soccer and stuff, I was spending like 8 hours a day locked in the mosque with like a teacher, like literally just memorizing the Quran day in and out while going to school. So, you know, my day was pretty packed. Like my schedule would literally be like wake up at 6 a.m., go for basketball practice. So I used to be on the basketball team. And then we start school, we study, and then, you know, 3, 4 p.m. it ends. I run straight to the mosque. Actually, I didn't run to the mosque. I would take a bus, school bus. I would take like a public transit alone for like an hour. Like, it was like a huge mission, by the way. And then I got there, freaking sit in the mosque for 8 hours, get home at like 10 p.m. to do my homework and eat food, and then practice my memorization for the next day. And around like 12 a.m. I start my homework. I finish that in like 30 minutes because it's so easy. And then I would play RuneScape till like 7 a.m. Actually, no, like 4 a.m. I used to be a very big RuneScape guy, and then I would like pretend to sleep for 30 minutes and then continue again. So people are like, go to sleep. I'm like, bro, I haven't slept like my whole life, so it's not a big deal. Anyways, that was like my elementary school, my high school, my middle school, it's kind of the same. I just kept doing that, but there's different levels, right? So the Quran is the first one. After you memorize the Quran, you start memorizing the Hadith, which I'm not going to say I memorized them, but I studied it very deeply. And like Islamic jurisprudence is such a like you can just keep going until you never stop, right? That's what the ulama say, that the one who seeks knowledge, like, it's just an endless journey, and the more you seek it, either one of two things happen. One, you become arrogant and you think you're like the king, and the second is like you become more and more humbled by what you learn. So I guess I was in the middle of both, and then at some point I'm just like, bro, like I want to live a normal life. But yeah, at age 18, I was after high school. It's like I had a decision: do I go to university or do I go to Medina University, which is a prestigious institute in Saudi Arabia, to study Islamic at like a very, very high level. I wanted to do the latter, but my mom was like, no, go become an engineer. So like there's a lot of like racism too, right? So she's like, you don't want to be like called a terrorist. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I did engineering. I aced every single class I had. I studied mechatronics, which is at that time was the hardest program in Canada to get into, in Waterloo, which is it's a funnel straight to Silicon Valley. Vitalik's from there, Chamat's from there, BlackBerry was invented there. BlackBerry was before Apple. Waterloo is kind of like the YC or Silicon Valley of Canada. So, anyways, yeah, it's a very good school, and I did CS. Like I aced, particularly was very strong in numbers and programming. So I had a
What were you
student
bad at?
Writing work term reports, and physics was really hard.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No, I just
Yeah.
wanted to set the. I mean, it's a pretty impressive background.
Yeah, I know, because our physics teacher was a dick, bro, because he would give zero hints about what he's gonna like quiz us on. So like the trick to ace exams was like you literally just get the solutions manual and do every single question. But he would just drop. He was a psyops guy like you you guys are. He like lead you to think a certain topic would come, and then he would just like drop a completely different topic, and you'd be like, "Fuck." But yeah, algorithms.
So
I was just crushing that. So
okay,
yeah.
your you then at some point got into crypto, presumably,
Yeah.
and
I can
you
tell you about the crypto transition. I can do that very quickly. So basically,
sure.
I worked at Amazon. I had internships. I worked in. I started with embedded programming and like FPGAs. I moved to C++ and like graphics programming, and then I moved to hardware design. And then I got a job at Amazon in Palo Alto, the research lab for their ad tech. And I launched Amazon Web Cloud Search. And after that, I worked in a startup called Prezi, which was funded by Excel at raised 70 mil. I was their senior full stack engineer launching microservices. And at that, in 2017 early, I found ETH through a coworker and started doing smart contracts. And somehow, I don't know how, I got in touch with Roman Storm, the founder of Tornado Cash, who taught me about smart contracts over a Zoom call. And then I just started coding smart contracts. And then I found out that you can make like 30K to like code like 5 lines of code. Like that's sick. So I started doing ICO contracts, and then that is where the magic began, and the ICO boom started. And yeah, I can explain more there if you want.
Yeah, definitely.
Was
I
it
think
like
it's a great.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is where things get insane, and this is just me like using my brain and Googling people. It's like I heard about this guy who's a very OG guy who's been getting into ICOs. Like the first ICO ever, you could say, was the DAO, which got hacked. And I mean, the first ICO was ETH, and then the DAO, and then or something like that, and then Augur, Gnosis, Golem, all of these shit coins, and then the first one I got into was BAT. BAT was by the founder of JavaScript, Brendan Eich. It sold out in 5 seconds, raised like 35 million. Me and my group, of mentors, you could say, they basically I was their engineer. Like I was doing it for free. I didn't even ask for money, because for me it's like if I do this one thing right, I'm cracked in. So yeah, we just wrote one line of code that allowed my transaction to be mined first. by setting the nonce to n-1 instead of n, because the ICO started at nonce n. And we got like 50% of that sale or something crazy. I forget the number. And instantly flipped it for like 20x on Bittrex. So all the friends that I was with made a fuck ton of money on that. That was like, this was like straight up like 10 million bucks in like 2 weeks. I didn't make anything on that, but I was like, I need to quit my job ASAP. The next one was 0x. We civiled that using SIM cards because they're so stupid. They just let anyone sign up with a SIM card. So I was like, okay, let's go to every AT&T and get a SIM card and buy phones. So we civiled that. Civiled Kyber. Kyber was actually more complicated. I overcomplicated it. I set up a distributed cluster of EC2s all over the world. We're literally spamming the mempools with my transaction because it started at a timestamp and not a nonce. And I think our transaction got picked up by a miner in Iceland. So we got 660 ETH there, which I can even send you the transaction hash for. And that one, I got 10% of that. So I basically kind of like, yeah, that ETH was instant, that Kyber was instantly tradable. So we did like 18x on that. We got listed on Polo as well as Bittrex and others. I mean, I had a bot that would TWAP out on Ether Delta as well. So yeah, I mean, I basically, you know, even then I made like a couple $100K, and like that's when I was like, okay, time to quit my job. I pretended I was working remotely at my job while I was like at DevCon in Cancun, which was insane. I remember walking to DevCon. I go to so they started off with like this opening party, and like Ryan Zurer and Olaf from Polychain are there at this table. And I was just like so confident. I go straight up to Olaf's table, grab his chick, who's like this blonde chick from LA. I'm like, leave this table, come to mine. And they were like, who the hell is this kid? They didn't even remember me. I remember everything. And then she was like, no, I can't because they're my sugar daddies or something. Okay, I don't know what the deal was there. Anyways, I don't care about her. What was I talking about again? Oh yes, DevCon. That was where we were the biggest holders of Raiden Network. Was the first scaling solution on ETH that was not first, like one of them that was promising. It was from German devs. We basically owned like a ton of supply there. It was myself, Yuberon from 8Decimal, who's also a little piece of shit, but that's another story. Who else was there? It was my gang, who's called Whale Pod back then, and then TT, we called them in China Whale, Continue Capital, San Francisco based. It's like a giga whale. Raiden did okay. It was overpromised. They overpromised a lot, and then we moved on. Market sold that because the founders are retarded. And after Genblock was formed, Genblock was, me and WhalePod had a disagreement. So I started my own entity. Genblock was a website with an entity and my own money and no LPs. I don't know why people think it's impressive to raise capital. I think it's like the most cock thing you can ever do. So then I was aggressively aping every deal. I did Zilliqa, Icon, OneChain, even Bellina times, you know. So all of these deals were like insane, right? So, but the thing is, my size was so small that, you know, because my peak in that cycle was like 1.4 mil, which I lost almost all of it because I was such a believer. I was like, everything is going to be decentralized, Airbnb, Uber, everything. No, that didn't happen. 2018 was a nightmare, dude. I lost almost everything. I almost had to go back to my job. But what did happen was like, I was in Hong Kong. My boy, I won't name him, but he used to literally live down the street from me. I got him in crypto. Him, myself, and Amber Group, I did an opening party at Token 2049, Hong Kong, April 2018, where literally every big institution crypto came, and it was oversold like that. So that was, you know, a significant event I hosted. And after I was just like, bro, I need to make some money. So I almost quit crypto and then somehow became the OTC broker for Sats. Turns out all these value retards.
I think that's how most people. I think that's how most people probably would have interacted with you if they know you. You've done a bunch of that OTC stuff, for sure, across
right. So the OTC cycle was the best part.
But yeah, like so you've you know you've spoken a bit about like the you know the religious angle that was very prominent in your upbringing, and then also the crypto angle. and there's been some, interesting parallels. I mean, I think most people have read some of like the Christian readings on crypto Christianity, like crossover. We could hit on that later if you want. But how do you think about like Islam and Christianity?
Sorry, one second. How do you know what?
How do you think about
Yeah.
like Islam and crypto? How do you think about that crossover?
I think they're very compatible. The whole purpose of Islam, okay, why I believe Islam is the truth is it's all provable. None of the other scriptures can trace their origins of their texts. There's always a little leak, right? It's like, you can watch the Ahmed Didat video, he's one of my teachers. It's like, Islam is like, okay, God says this, right? Like we say the Quran is the word of God. Okay, prove it. Okay, well, this word of God has not been changed in 1400 years. They're like, oh yeah, so what? This has an I there. Okay, bring your proof if you're truthful. And when they try, there's always an inconsistency. That's number one. The reason that happens, you can think of it like there's little validators all over the world mining the network. The network is the Quran itself. All these people are like validating. If you want to do a 51% attack on the Quran, you need to have someone who comes and attacks that network, aka kill all the Muslims, I guess, which I guess they're trying to do. They've attempted to do it many times, but it doesn't happen. It's like there's always a larger majority who will recite the same Quran, and the Quran itself is classical Arabic, but it has 7 different recitations. But okay, I don't want to go into that. That's Quran. Then okay, fine. Quran is the word of God. Why is Muhammad the prophet? Okay, well, every single word that Muhammad said has been traced by these scholars of hadith who like study everything that Muhammad said and who said he said that, who said he said that, all the way down to our current era. And then they're like classified as true or false. So it's kind of like a blockchain, right? Like Bitcoin. Why is Bitcoin true? Because you can see the transaction history of all the blocks that have been mined. So for me, and I'm not a mufti, but I think it's like the exact same. Like Islam is very compatible. It's just such new tech that a lot of scholars don't want to comment on it. But for me, it's totally legit. But the problem with that is that crypto now introduces the element of free money moving around, which attracts a lot of criminals. So that is the contention, which I think that is the most controversial topic of crypto, right? Since the beginning of times, is like crypto is used for money laundering. Crypto is used for this. It's like, well, it's open source tech. Blame me for using the internet to do, like the fiat is used for money laundering. Okay, so what do we do, right? So for me, Islam and crypto are very compatible. In fact, that is why I keep shilling Islamchain. But that we can get to that topic later.
Yeah, coming back to your story about like, when you got into OTC, I think that was when you really started to take off, right? Because I remember you were a huge percentage of market share on pretty much
yeah, I can tell you
all the major SAPs at that time.
Yeah, I can tell you the assets I dominated. There was only one asset that I didn't dominate, which was Polkadot. And that's how we met, right? Polkadot was dominated by Izat Group, which is Tam and Cass, who are like pretty much retired now. But it's funny because Tam herself, I got into ETH. I sold my ETH to her at the giga top, 1400 USD per ETH, because she needed 10 to transfer 10K. Anyways, she is a hustler, right? Like when you talk about like woman in crypto, it's like the quality of woman is like, nah, there's no equality, dude. Like you better hustle your ass off. And that's what they did. Izat dominated Polkadot because they got close with this one guy, Makoto, who's one of the core devs at Parity. He had a huge dot bag so for me, I don't broker any asset until I know that person because there's a lot of defaults. Like I lived in Japan. I'm like, bro, I'm not gonna chase my capital from Japan if they default. But what I dominated was Filecoin, Filecoin was the largest, I think, in the world. Literally all the Valley fund, all the Valley LARPs. I'm going to call them LARPs. I'm not going to say funds anymore because I don't like them anymore. All the Valley LARPs who say they're long term were dumping at 1x or below SAF price to all the miners in China or exchanges who were then marking it up at 20x to grandmas at MLM events. And yeah, I mean, Valley got rugged on that one. Yeah, people say the Valley's so smart, man. China is where the money's at sometimes. So
Yeah.
Filecoin was a big one. Definity was a decent one. Mina was a good one. I mean, I was sourcing it from the validators. Handshake was a really good one, which is funny because people worship Blast. It's like, I know Handshake very well. I was the only market for Handshake in the world because, again, the founder gave his allocation to retards such as A16Z and others, who gave him zero advice on how to do tokenomics. They airdropped the entire supply to devs around the world who market dumped it. There was zero liquidity. No exchange wanted to list them. The only way I was sourcing it was from an FPGA mining farm in Ukraine, because I just met that guy randomly. So I was literally buying it off him and flipping it at 3x on retarded funds, who then lost all of it. So like these institutions are not that smart as you guys think they are. So
Handshake is a really, for sure, man. Handshake, I remember that time it was so hyped in the fund space, but then if you actually understood how it was being farmed and dumped or like being generated, you'd be like, I mean, I think that's an example of something that really failed on tokenomics. Like if they had one guy in the room who was like,
they had many guys in the room. They had many guys in the room. I think even, I mean, if you look at the cap table and you look at who people worship as the experts of crypto, every supposed expert was there. So why didn't they advise them? Oh, I wonder why. Gee, I wonder why. Maybe their brains don't work. I was like, brah, you guys need to cancel this. I even told him, Tishan, I told him, just cancel this airdrop. Dev airdrop is retarded. They wouldn't do it. Anyways, long story short, Handshake went to zero, which, you know, I don't even think Tishan's a bad guy. I mean, he's a talented dev. His co-founder was Jingling Wang, the Chinese girl, which used to sleep on my boy's couch. She's the founder of Optimism, as well as Joseph Poon, who worked on ETH, Plasma. They all checked out, I guess. But Tayshawn's a hustler, so he launched Blast after. Blast did decent. I mean, they still gave their allo to Paradigm, who I think is retarded because Charlie Noise is a little faggot. That's note I said Charlie, not Fred Urson. So there's a little intricacy there. I don't like the hires of these funds. But anyways, and now he launched Blast. I think Blast is going to do well. They're scamming amazing with the TVL, the multi-sig, you know, like all the funds are on one ledger, which, you know, I think is a very safe solution, you know. I think some genius must have told them how to do OPSEC there. Yeah, I think Blast would look great. I think VCs will be able to dump a lot of it. I think the founder will be able to dump a lot of it. Retail might get rinsed. Let's see. I mean, probably yes. So yes, that is.
You sound jaded.
Oh, BitClout as well. BitClout also, VCs buying it at 2, dumping it at 140 through me dumping it at a small. By the way, my spreads, I could have taken crazy spreads, but I've always just been fair. I'm like 10% or take it or leave it. They're so greedy that billionaires would literally negotiate for 3K USD when I'm making them like 500K or $1 million. So this is why I'm jaded, bro. You see the sharks that are at play here. So now I'm like, hey sharks, come at me, all of you together. I don't care, bro. I don't care about this game. Okay, by the way, I love crypto, but this is unhinged because I've been scammed and owed like hundreds of millions of dollars. So I'll recover it one by one soon enough.
I think what's cool is that you actually have such a good inside look at the industry because you've really seen, like, I guess, as Kyle would say, behind the kimono of a lot of projects and really like a lot of tokenomics, right? Like I think people don't realize a huge percentage of the token supply was flipped or exchanged hands before TGE or before, let's say, exchange listings.
By the way, or if it wasn't through me, it was done by a quote unquote tokenomics, right? What are tokenomics? It is a pie chart that says 10% goes to team. Oh, how fair, 10%. Okay, where's the remaining 90%? 10% goes to investors. Okay, investors are cliffed at 1 year and 2-year linear. So where's the remaining 80%? Guess what? It's the founders. Guess how they sell it? By market makers using quote unquote marketing supply, market making supply, ecosystem treasury. Yeah, right, bro. That shit's all fully unlocked, slowly being sent to Binance, being market dumped on your ass. So founders will claim that, hey, we're vesting after you. No, you're not, bro. Get out of here. Every single layer one founder probably cashed out $1 billion plus. Study Polkadot, study Charles Hoskinson, study everyone basically. Being a founder is sick if you can do the playbook. But I even told founders, bro, I'm like, they don't. You know what? It's funny. They want me to take out so much time to do calls for like a 25K angel check. I'm like, bro, you're giving your entire supply to some random fund who doesn't care about you while I'm doing all the work. So it's not really worth it. And then sometimes they'll even rug you later. They want to refund you that check. So like SAPs are the dirtiest instrument. Crypto is a very dirty industry, but then again, like it's a good way to make money still. Like if you know how to play the game, you can do
that's a good
on-chain
segue.
stuff.
I guess it's a good segue into kind of, you started off in the OTC, making your name there, and then you really got into venture itself, right? I mean, you must have done hundreds of deals over the last few years.
So venture, I mean, if you just say a lifetime, I probably did over 600. But
Wow, that's
some
incredible.
of these, like these are not deals, right? Like some of them are like me sibling something. I still consider that a deal because as long as my price is good, I don't care if it was done by a Series A, whatever. So anyways, let's say I've traded so many tokens I can't even remember, but most of that shit happened after I left the US, because, back then you only had a few tokens to ape. So I was actually very lucky with my tax situation. I literally exited at the bottom out of America. And then I'm a non-resident of Canada. So I'm a UAE resident. So my tax shit is great. Because now people are like, oh, you evaded taxes. I'm like, man, like you are literally living in the US doing tax evasion. So don't even pull that on me. So yeah, my money was made clean.
So on the VC side, like what do you like I mean, you mentioned founders.
Right. Okay, so the VC side, my notable deals, 2020, I'm very close with Andrew Kang, the guy, Mechanism. My buddy was the largest synthetics whale. So we were literally doing stuff like, we were doing on-chain stuff on synthetics, farming it. I was the early farmer of Wi-Fi, probably largest holder of Wi-Fi too, but I dumped it early. Also, by the way, I was doing this without even trying. I would like just farm every food Ponzi, and I think that's around when you guys, SBF started to rise. SBF was like the guy who launched FTX, as we know. I think you guys used to have beef with SBF back in the day, right?
Yeah, that's kind of like an elaborate story, but I think it was like we just thought that the funds used for the FTT ICO would definitely be.
I know why you guys had beef, bro.
Yeah.
Alameda was trying to raise funds on little sheet that said, we give you 20% guaranteed returns. And it's like, no, I don't mean, like, I'm not going to give you money based on that. So what they ended up doing was, okay, fine, we're going to launch an exchange. We know the story, right? They use customer deposit as a hedge fund. So that was a great strategy until they got greedy. So
I think so. I mean, I think what I realized too at that time, because I had come to crypto relatively newer by that time in terms of like really in the industry doing things. And I remember there was this VC that I won't name, but they were like saying, well, Sam his parents are Stanford law professors, so he knows his way around. And he also says something, Sam is going to break all sorts of securities laws. He's definitely intending to, but he knows that he can't break the Bank Secrecy Act because that will involve like, the
what
bigger
is the
powers
Bank
that be.
Secrecy Act again?
It covers things like money laundering or terrorism, that kind of stuff. So
he did break it.
But sure, but yeah. But this VC's thesis was that Sam will break many laws, but not enough that he will get in big trouble.
Bruh.
So
I mean,
I
he
was
broke
kind
every
of
single law in the
shocked when I
world.
first.
So
Yeah, so I was kind of shocked when I first heard it, and it was kind of like I guess you call it like the popping of the cherry in a way, because
yeah, I
I
mean, I
think
think
that
SBF. Okay, but by the way, I think
yeah,
SBF is not a bad guy as people make him out to be. He
yes,
just
agree.
he's so artistic that and also he used so much Adderall, and they had like in-house Adderall cook. He
For
just
sure.
fried his brain, bro. Like to the point where his morality just disappeared. And like
But
I get his I
that's the
get
thing. He started that way. He also started that way. I think that's the point. We were very, very controversial.
what do you mean he started that
Um,
way?
no, that's what Sue's saying. He said that SBF very much started that way. We were very critical
He
of
was
him pretty much from day one. And then over
Everyone was,
time, he was able to
bro.
hide.
Everyone
yeah,
was
Yes,
critical,
a lot of
including
people
all my
were.
bro. None of my whales wanted to touch his stuff. No one wanted to touch his stuff. I personally would have touched his. But okay, here's the thing. I've never LP'd into funds. The only fund I LP'd was Multicoin, and they probably hate me for taking my money because I harass them nonstop. But anyways, I think Multicoin will do well. But yeah, SBF. Okay, so my buddy, who was one of the early guys, he was begging me to put money in. I guess because he just knew. Sometimes it's like a founder bet. It's like someone is so just autistic and driven
yeah,
that you're just like,
Yes.
man, you're not going to lose money on this guy. It's just like, just put money in and be sure to sell before he loses it all. So yeah, my buddy literally made $1 billion almost liquid from putting his entire net worth and even taking loans in FTT. He didn't even get paid tokens. People are like, he got paid tokens. He didn't. Like his problem was he didn't take it out the exchange. So, but yeah,
Yep.
I actually shared the
yeah.
FTT deck. I was the first person in their Telegram watching them, and I was doing OTC with deals with them. I used them
Yeah.
primarily for AlamadaOTC.com, which was the best. I think that was the best conversion OTC in the market at the time.
For sure. I actually do respect a lot like the people who saw the FTX thesis early, because I think that for the types of people who are watching it and thinking kind of on like level one, it was like, okay, well, they lose money in OTC for sure because their
Yeah,
prices are just
pennies.
arbitrageable or just arbitrageable or like stale, right? Like
I know,
I
but
think we had a guy sit
you know
there
the-
and just arbit all day before. I think like every firm had one guy sit there and arbit all day. And it
Really?
would just like cover your payroll basically.
Wait,
I remember during March 2020, the prices were so stale on the thing, and they were just honoring all the prices. And you could basically short Bitcoin into their platform, and then buy the
Really?
perps on BitMEX at like $1,000 below. And they
Wow.
wouldn't ask you to deliver the Bitcoin. You would just run like a short on FTX.
Wait, can you explain that? Can you explain that trade? Wait, because I'm not a trader. How
So
does that
the COVID dump, right, was sort of this massive brutal dump from 8.5K down to 3.65 last, and
Yeah.
that at that time the perps went $1,000 below spot.
Perps where?
On BitMEX. At that
Okay,
time,
yes,
it's all
yes.
BitMEX. So FTX
Yes.
had an ODC portal, as in many other firms, where ODC, you kind of just trade spot and then later you settle it. So at that time, the smarter ODC desks, like a Cumberland, they'll just be like, deliver the Bitcoin now, and then they just turned off their quotes for some time as well. But FTX, they quoted the whole time, and their quotes were like $1,000 above perps. And they just like didn't ask anyone to deliver. So essentially you could long the perps on BitMEX, sell to FTX, and you could just like hold that spread trade. And I was at that moment, I was like, they don't have any accounting. Like I was like, they must have no accounting. This, I don't know how they're hedging
but
this.
the thing is, that all the numbers on Alameda OTC were just numbers, right? Like they themselves were like, we will eventually figure out how to. Bro, I mean, from day one, I think their whole strategy is like, just try your best to give the best rates which I think is an excellent strategy, right? It's like you may take some losses, but you will get all the big. And the thing is, their focus was whales. All the whales wanted to OTC with them, and the thing is, Alameda would eventually always redeem it because, like, they were not in a hole for a while. like they were printing, so they're
Yeah,
sharks, you know.
exactly.
So
Yeah,
you
it
remember
was
that whole
this
retard
exactly.
issue?
Absolutely. I mean, I think they were the masters of like you pay out the value small and then you make it big, right? Like I think
Big,
that
exactly.
they really mastered that art because I think on like lick hunting they were by far the most aggressive on every exchange, especially in 2020.
Which
And that
which
was
hunting
something
on which
where
exchange? On all
just in
exchanges?
terms of
Oh, yeah,
like perp
yeah.
wicks, yeah,
I remember
on
what
other
I remember.
exchanges,
I remember the funniest thing that happened was when Sam and CZ teamed up, and Sam is still so ruthless that he whipped their users on CZ's exchange, and CZ's like, "We know the entity who did this. They better
Yeah, I
not do
remember
it
that.
again." And like, it's so funny that Sam had that hint, and he still like wouldn't take the hint. He's like, sometimes you gotta take the hint, which is what I've been trying to tell people. It's like some retards are harassing me. It's like, bro, take the hint. Stop. It might destroy you. And now it's gone to the point where it's gonna end pretty badly for someone. I'm not gonna say who. So yeah, not saying I'm CZ level, but if anyone wanna attack me, I have 1,000 other people who are gonna get attacked as well.
The way that, yeah, the way that Sam, I mean, this is kind of an interesting story, right? So it's one of those things where it's like the cascading liquidation, right? And at that time, he was in a relatively frothy market. So he was able to hunt a lick, collect, and then the market would balance out over time, right?
Right.
And you could do that. You could liquidate a client here, liquidate a client there, and they would still come back, right, to the exchange. And there was no major impact to the market. But it's very aggressive behavior, right? The problem is when, I mean, we all know what happened now, but with Three Arrows, he did that in a downward market. It was a very bear market.
Did he try to screw you guys, or your thing was just related with Joe?
No, he very much hunted our position. I mean, we
No
lost
way.
money on Luna,
What?
but we had, but we had
Okay, so
a very
what
large.
really happened? What happened with Luna? I actually evaded that, which I was lucky.
Yeah,
So like,
I can give you some broader context too. I think like
yeah,
for SPF, so there's kind of these concentric circles of I won't call them cartels because I think that's a bad word, but I'll call them like spheres of influence, I guess, right? So like obviously we overlapped on some spheres and differed in others. I think where we overlapped was, on Sol and AVAX type stuff and DeFi on Ethereum more broadly. We overlapped on tons of projects. And I think in private markets, we overlapped on tons of projects too. So for instance, Starkware we did together, WorldCoin we did together, Mina.
Wait, you guys
the list goes on.
Wait, you guys did WorldCoin? Whoa, dude.
Yeah,
that's
we're
sick.
one of the.
So
it's one of the largest positions. It's close to $1 billion in the estate.
So why are people hating on you? Your fund is already probably in profit.
I think it's more. I think it's more just we live in an age of unprecedented wealth inequality, and so a lot of it is really just kind of a punching up kind of a dynamic where people want to just find something to rag on. But I also think it's part of the journey. Like it's part of the fun too, right? You know how like in the US they'll have those like comedian roasts, and I just find it like it's all like one big roast, right? Because I mean we were also pretty arrogant at the top too, like not unlike Doe and not unlike Sam, but like
yeah, you guys are definitely
quite.
You guys
been pretty arrogant.
So bro.
Yeah, exactly.
Which
so
fine,
that's why. So that's why like just take of the territory. I think some people they didn't see like the arrogance then, so they're like, wow, like why are people bashing you so much now? You're so humble. I'm like, no, bro. Like I think it's fine. It's just part of our journey. So, but like back to the SPF point about why he disliked Luna so much. It's because the spheres of influence. I think they like Sam always thought that Kanav was not committed enough to Solana, and so when Jump started to TWAP out of Solana in 2022, he was just like super pissed and flipping out. And they actually upped their ownership of the network even more in 2022 by quite a bit. And that was kind of like
Solana.
Yeah.
Well, can you explain the thing about Solana again? Because I know Solana very well.
Yeah.
What were
So
you
the
saying
initial
again?
Solana cartel, I guess, right? It'd be like, multi-coin,
Bro, that was not the
FTX,
initial
Jump.
cartel.
I'm
The
talking
cartel was
about
my.
the pre-unlock. I'm talking about the pre-unlock, right? I'm not talking about like the initial seed round. I'm talking about like the
I'm talking about pre-unlock too. Cartel was myself. No, okay, it's not myself. It's my boy, Soul Big Brain.
oh
He
yeah.
was the
I mean,
largest
there's
holder. Okay,
definitely
yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Anyways,
But
yeah. Go
I
ahead.
mean, like
You talk.
in
You
terms
talk.
of like in terms of percent of network, let's say going into 2022,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and there's that famous like balance sheet where I think Alameda has like $100 billion balance sheet or something like that, and a lot of it is Solana, right? And then so I think that what happened was basically Sam was very upset that Jump was kind of more focused on Luna than on Solana, and they were selling Solana while still supporting Luna. That was like a big part of it. It was just like a jealousy plot line where
Mm.
they did not invest in Luna very early. Like Sam and Doe never got along. During the May 2021
They
DPEG, that was actually
didn't.
also caused by Alameda. But there, Jump just
That
had
was
the ammo
Alameda.
to fight it.
I thought that was Cit. I heard that was Citadel or some TradFi.
No. I mean, May 2021, Citadel doesn't know anything about crypto yet. I mean, May
Oh, okay.
2021 is like, we're talking about Luna at $2, right? We're talking about
Oh, okay. $2.
like
I thought
very,
you meant
very
2022. Sorry. Okay.
no. I'm talking
Go
about
ahead.
because there was a precursor DPEG on UST that was a very PvP like Alameda versus Jump game that ended up resolving by just gaining the peg again. And leading up to DPEG, like there were all these FTX guys. They would like make these chats and be like, I remember this one FTX guy. He gave me like his Luna short thesis, like for like maybe three, four. It was like 3-4 page thesis on why Luna will go to zero. And I was just thinking like, okay, why are they spending so much effort on this? So
Which
it was a
guy was
very.
it?
I won't name
We
him
might
out
as
of
well.
respect. I won't name him
We
out
might as
of
well
respect,
expose
but
them all because they all screwed us too. Well, okay, fine. That's fine.
well, I mean, like I mean, I take a very zoomed out view, which is that like they were. I mean, obviously they're like a bit conflicted because they run
I
an
don't like
exchange and then they
Alameda.
also hunt. I mean, it's kind of weird because they run an exchange where the clients are long those assets and he creates vaults for them to use those assets while also wanting them to go to zero. So it's like a weird dynamic, but it's crypto 2022, so I'll allow that. I mean, I just think that I find it strange that he didn't understand that if you're that PvP, like it's always going to come back to you, right? Like it doesn't
Right.
like
Which is
so,
what people are
but
telling me as well. Is like, man,
no,
just be careful of all the battles you pick because one of them is going to end badly. And
yeah, exactly.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm about to end some battles, but man, I mean, people try to threaten my family, bro. At that point, you might as well just come shoot me in the head because you don't go to. If some people are going too far, and it's gonna start World War III. So, anyways, I'm fine. People are like, you know what was pissing me off? People are like, stop doing drugs and sleep. What are you, my mom? Like, I'm totally fine. And if you can hear me on this thing,
But I think
I'm very
like
coherent. I just work fast. I'm smart. Kill me for being smart.
I mean, like, I think people generally want the best for you, man. Like, I think that they want to see you get better. They've seen what a
I am better.
brilliant mind you are. Well, they've seen what a brilliant mind you
I'm
are,
trying to make money, bro.
and like very kind of like a charismatic figure. You've connected so many people in so many industries.
They don't buy no,
so many buyer and sellers and
that's
coins,
false.
right? So
That is false. If they cared about me,
yeah.
they would actually acknowledge and say thank you. 98% didn't even say thank you. And if they cared
But that's
about
also
me,
because a lot of people in crypto. No, but I think a lot of that's also because people in crypto, they're a little bit. Well, I mean, they have lower social skills, right? So they a lot of times they know they probably would say thank you if they were raised like by their grandma, 40 years ago.
This is
But
what
now they
a lot of them are very humble. Here's what went wrong. They all worship money. Money is their god, and that is not just crypto. That is the world. Money is their god. That is a fact, right? Most people worship money. Like, if you didn't worship money, then okay, never mind. Go ahead. Sorry, I don't want to keep interrupting.
Yeah, I just think I mean, most people that you feud with, like I think that they are trying to look out for your. I mean, it's a mix, but I think a lot of the ones that at least that I talk to, they generally want you to get better. and they want to see you do well. Like I genuinely think you should see that. At least the ones in our circles. I don't know
Say
about
the
the other
names.
ones.
Say the names, and I'll tell you. I don't care. Our circle. I have no circle anymore. I mean, you're in my circle, and a few others, but my circle is getting smaller by the day. I don't know if you heard that Drake song. It says, I don't know. I don't even know. It's like, I only love my bed and my mom. I'm sorry. So, but I love you too, I guess. No, like
I
the
don't.
thing is that
Check
people
out.
claim to say things, right? Show me the action.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, Bill, why are you chasing money? Why are you worshiping money? I'm worshiping money because I need money. Okay, so make it. Okay, I'm trying to make it. Can you share me deals? No. So then we're going in circles now,
Yeah.
right? So I came to the point where I'm
Yeah.
just like, okay, I'm going to make my own money because no one's actually trying to properly help me. And if they do try to help me, they're just so slow and incompetent that I'll just do it myself. Because like once they try to help me, they want they want a 50-50 split. I'm like, bro, why would I do a 50-50 split with you? And I'm telling you how to do the entire thing, right? It's like,
Mm.
that your job, if your job is to help me, then I'll give you a small cut. So then I'm just like, you know what, I'm going to do it all myself and make programs to do it. But I know everyone has good intentions. I think everyone is just busy with their own lives. So when they see me going, because this only happened recently, up until 4 months ago, I was normal. I only went ballistic because I was depressed for like 2 years. I was like not making money. I was bored of traveling around the world and wasting my time. I'm like, what is next? Like, is this the purpose of my life to just make more? And then somehow I had a wake up call, and I don't know how that happened, but I just started going ballistic. I'm like, first of all, I know the bull run's coming. I want all my scammed capital back. And when I say scammed, I mean every single founder, 95% of them defaulted in some way or another. Either it was they raised money on false premises, they didn't ship anything. They're like giving me false updates. I'm like, guys, I know how long like they can't even code a claims portal, like they don't even deliver tokens, right? It's like for me, and when people say I scam, I'm like, bro, I haven't owed anyone a single penny my whole life, never will. My contracts are some of the strictest in crypto. It was like if you don't deliver within 24 hours, you'll get like shot. Yeah, I mean that's like metaphorical. Like, bro, you have no. If I start naming some names who defaulted on me, and I have been naming some names, people are very angry at me. Well, fuck you, man. Send the tokens. Where's the money? As the Stewie episode, give me my money. I won't be mad if you give me my money. They're like, why are you so mad? I was your friend. Give me the money. Shut the fuck up. So, anyways, yeah. And I'm still lighthearted about it. As you can see, I'm not attacking anyone. It was like actions are louder than words.
For sure.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, we can do some lighthearted talk too.
No, I think it's good. I mean, one of the things I like about you is that you're not afraid to call out the hypocrisy, right? Because I think, like you said, like there's a lot of people in crypto, they actually, just by having been in the space for this many years, there's so many hairy situations that come up over the years, and like comes back to like like from Christianity, Mark 10:18, no one is good except God, kind of a concept, but it's like people. I'll give you an example. There's like a fund manager which we seeded in 2020, and we were kind of the only ones backing him at the time, and he didn't lose any money in 3 Arrows, but he's like he gets off on, let's say, being a hater, even though he kind of was really backed by us, and so it was a really strange thing I saw.
Is it
where
Travis
it's like,
Kling?
no, it's not that one, but it's just
Is
like a
it
thing
DSCM?
where no. I'm not gonna name it. I'm not gonna name it because
Okay.
the specific one doesn't really matter. But I just think it's something where I realize it's like a cultural difference too. Where I think if you're raised with more of a spiritual background, you're like, okay, this guy did a solid to me, and he then failed. I at least I don't have to give him money or anything, but I have to then at least be like, you were always good to me at least, and but that is I think. Some parts of crypto they have it and they do it. Other parts it's like they really, like you said, they immediately move on and they say, okay, well, what is now the GTO play? And they say, okay, well, now we do this or we do that, and then if we do well in the future, then they're gonna flip again, and then they're gonna come again. So I think it's like It's like when people make fun of Nick Carter when they're like, he had all those tweets under mine where he was like reply guying us and saying, way to go, King. And then after we blow up, he's like, no, you guys suck. And it's like this thing where it's obviously just like, fair weather type guys. But I do think you're right that it's a symptom of a space where,
can I say something?
Yeah.
Andrew Tate posted this about Christianity. It's very related to the space as well. He said, I'm happy to see Christians finally take some action and start to embrace their faith, because Christianity has a lot of sects. So our country is Christian, right? Like Canada, US, majority, there's a lot of Christian countries. But the thing is that once you start accepting every single value system, which, by the way, most of the value systems that are being accepted worldwide have elements of satanic in them, then you accept nothing. So my morals are straight up. It's like if I scam someone on earth and I die, actually it's literally in the Quran, it says, or Hadith, it says, this is fair, if you die with a debt, you are not allowed to pray the funeral for this person. First, this person's debt needs to be collected from his family. If the family doesn't have the money, then the community. If the community doesn't do it, then this person's funeral cannot be prayed on. He cannot be buried in the graveyard of the Muslims. He shall be tossed in some random garbage or some random graveyard. And it sounds really harsh, but it just shows you, right? Like the amount of horror. Then people say, oh, Islam is terror. It's like, no, the terror is because God is trying to tell you how to act on earth. So it's like, and now the afterlife starts. You're in your grave. The angels come and start questioning you for everything that you did in your life and torture and torment you. Now this is like a horror movie, right? But like, so when you start thinking about the consequences of your actions, you're like, okay, man, I should probably try not to do that. And like now I'm getting hated on for like mixing Islam with like swear words. I'm like, okay, yes, I swore, but God forgives every single sin except belief in him, right? So my morals are pretty clear. If I owe someone money and I die with the debt, then I will not be happy. So pay it back ASAP. In fact, people beg me. Well, so right now people are asking me to pay, but I'm dealing with stress. But usually I'm the one calling, yo, give me your damn address so I can settle my debt. Like, I just don't want debt. That's why Islam doesn't even allow leverage. It's like spot only is the rule because leverage has blown up financial systems. So Islam is kind of like thinking about the whole society as a whole instead of, like this whole interest, this whole leverage, this whole options, derivatives. It works until it implodes. Islam is trying to like preserve society. It says you exchange a physical good for a physical good, which is like gold for some service, etc. So dates, you could even broker dates, right? So that's what commodities is. Commodities are okay until, okay, anyways, I could rant on for hours. So yeah, long story short, I think you need some God everyone needs some God in their life in crypto.
Yeah, I think another interesting thing I've noticed too is that we're kind of in the part of the bull market now again where people are like, okay, I want to buy the next Luna, but I want to get out before it's the end. And people are like, what's going to be the next one? And I feel like there's that kind of cyclicality to things where, you're starting to see some projects where, the community will get mad at them for not ponsifying their coin enough or not pumping it or something. And they'll be like, well, where's the pump? Your job is to pump it. It's like that meme, please pump the coin no matter how illegal, right? And so I do think that's always like, that's why I think like when my TradFi friends kind of see like sentiment on crypto and stuff, and they're like you guys are all trying to dump meme coins on each other, right? Why are we also acting like priests? And that's why I think it's just especially jarring and amusing when that's kind of put up in like, like for an outsider seeing it, it's like, okay, where does that righteousness really come from? I mean, at least especially for us, right? Like we did so many ODC deals for 4 or 5 years without a single hiccup.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
Like
my
like
OTC
we sent
experience with you has been insane. Like, I think when we did the
there's
flow borrow trade with Light,
yeah
whatever you said you promised me, I don't even know if we signed a contract. You guys gave it. So when
so
you know, when I only hate on people, even Alameda, bro. Alameda never did contracts with me. They just wire me the money, and to be honest, they were very generous too sometimes.
they
So
definitely were. They definitely were. Yeah, and so I think it's like I mean, and maybe it's part of this Western cancel culture mentality too. But I just think that it actually just, I mean, when as time goes on, whatever, it just looks historically inaccurate. Like if you say, okay, these firms did so well in this period, and then this happened, and then therefore that, I just think that it's you know, if you were a historian, you'd be a very bad one if that's how you think about things, right? And I think that you know, that's also why like I'm not too worried about haters, or whatever, because if you look at, you know, supporters, we have a lot as well. And also I think if you just look at the way history goes, a great example is Chiang Kai-shek, right? I mean, Chiang Kai-shek was summarily canceled by the CCP for many years, but now he's undergoing a huge.
Who's this
guy? Chiang Kai-shek was the leader of the Nationalist Party in China, sort of but now, you know, they're relooking at his actions and his diary, which has recently come out. And they're saying, you know, actually Chiang Kai-shek, he was a true patriot and he was a nationalist. And then that's kind of the, you know, so history itself has these really interesting kind of things. Like I was just you know, because it's Milken Institute right now, and I was talking to this lady who, she had no idea who Milken was. She was like, Milken founded the institute of Milken Institute, and I was like, you know what his company was, right? He's like, the Milken Institute company, and I was like, okay, cool. So it's one of those things where I feel that you know, all the things that have happened in crypto space, they're super interesting. Unfortunately, no one's qualified to write a book on it, except maybe 5 people in the world who actually understand what was happening. So it could be that actually no book ever gets. You're qualified to write a book on it. I think there's at most 10 people are qualified to write this book. And everyone else will just be spewing a narrative that in 5 years, no one remembers why that narrative was spewed.
Who else do you think is good at writing this narrative from the beginning of times? Because
definitely a lot of Alameda staff, definitely a lot of ex-FTX staff.
Well, no, I'm talking about the story of crypto since the inception of Bitcoin. Like, who do you think can write that book? Because a lot of OGs just phased out, so no one is still grinding in the trenches right now.
I mean, crypto is so wide that there would be like a multi-book series, like an anthology. I mean, you can write a whole book about individual events, right? I mean, I think that
So I might do that, because for me, people are like, bro, focus on money. I'm like, bro, money's not the end goal. For me, that's like enjoyable. I was a very good writer, so I don't know, maybe I do that. Yeah,
we should do that. Man. We should do that. We should do that.
Yeah,
you know what I've been inspired by recently?
Yeah.
You know what I've been inspired by recently is, so there's this trend in China where you make these soap operas, they're 1 minute each, and then after a few episodes, people have to pay to unlock the new episodes, and this now hitting stateside. But you know, these series, they make hundreds of millions of dollars.
Really, yes,
you could do this for crypto stories. You could do this about stories about the DAO hack. You could do this stories about Bitcoin fork wars.
Especially during the bull market, if people are paying, say, like 100 mil for a dog picture. If you trust this guy to be the truth, and this is the truth that everyone's debated on, man, that NFTs for like a 5-minute clip could actually potentially you could
aside from the value, I think just be able to like collect these, kind of like doing like an oral history of crypto, and turn it into a series. I think that
it's like
trying to be as like you know, impartial as possible, capture all the sides of, you know, things, because there's so much stuff now where people don't remember, let's say, even who was involved in Gox. Like, no one remembers the names involved. Like, you know, there's people like a good example is like Roger Ver, who's one of my heroes, right, for being Bitcoin Jesus and getting so many people into Bitcoin. But you could either like, based on when you entered, you either know him for Bitcoin Cash, or you know him for Gox, or you know him as a guy who got you into Bitcoin.
I know him from BTC.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Bitcoin Billionaires, Charlie Shrem, Roger Ver, and Eric Voorhees.
Yeah. So that's the kind of thing where it's like, is really very similar to Chiang Kai-shek, right? Where it's like you look like 100 years later, and then they're like, what was he? He was a nationalist. He was a patriot.
Gotcha. No, dude, but the thing is, people need to think outside the box about how money can be made. And my goal and the reason I'm trying to network with celebs and stuff. I want to make a movie, bro. Because like, if you think about movies, like, Wolf of Wall Street, but like, just a series, a Netflix series. Because there's a bunch out there, but they're all shit. I'm telling you,
absolutely, it's got to be done by
we get-
natives. It's got to be done by baller natives via DAO. Because what I realize is, so like a few people approach this in the past and like, you know, say, oh, Amazon this, maybe do that. But then what you realize is that they actually don't know what the story was. They're trying to figure out a narrative, and they're usually trying to come up with a narrative that's like a copy paste from what they've seen before. So they're trying to tell some kind of like,
by the way,
like Bill Jones
did you
Roman
see
story.
the charge that just dropped on KuCoin? The charges just dropped on two KuCoin founders. Jesus Christ, bro, are you seeing this? This is left and right. There's charges being dropped. There's charge being dropped on Binance. Binance has froze Tron. One of the execs is being detained in Nigeria. So like, this shit's unraveling pretty fast right now. What the hell's going on? I'm actually like, I think I know what's going on. This is TradFi saying like, get these scum out of here so we take over.
Definitely. I think, and they've been pretty good at it, right? I mean, think about the new entrants into crypto now, a lot of them coming through ETFs. I think what last cycle proved is that risk management is done better in the like original financial system. So for instance, if you have gold in an ETF, you know, you can also have loans against it, but then just let the banks handle it because they understand, you know, things that have happened.
They do
over
proper KYC.
Decades of, well, that also just like their framework is that this needs to make sense over decades, not over like months, right? Whereas most crypto companies, they're trying to rush to IPO. They're just trying to say anything is fine. We get to IPO, we bro out, cash out, right? So
crypto starts with IPO and then they start working.
Yeah, exactly. So I think
but
the
actually,
TradFi takeover is quite, you know.
I mean, actually, I don't know. I mean, TradFi is kind of like that too, right? You can just be like, look at WeWork. I mean, WeWork did build. Okay. So I guess the difference is, at least in Web 2, you do build something that is useful.
Yeah. Actually, WeWork is a really interesting example of like and let me speak about this in depth because I think it's a super emblematic of society, right? So if you think about the actual parties involved in WeWork, it's Adam Neumann and Masayoshi-san and a handful of other investors. In terms of people who are, you know, actually have skin in the game at that table. Now they couldn't actually list and you know, exit at a profit, basically, right? They couldn't get that valuation that they needed.
Well, they could have OTC'd it, no?
Yeah. So the main kind of like I guess FUD is that, you know, he was able to cash out some secondary, but that the investors have to enable that to happen, right? Like it has to be part of a froth period where they allow that. And also it's something where for actually the 99% of people in that transaction, like if you are just a user of WeWork, you just get cheap office space. That's all you get. So you have no reason to be mad at Adam Neumann. Like, so people are basically mad at Adam Neumann on behalf of Masayoshi-san. But like, why are they they're basically taking on a position that they don't actually have themselves? It doesn't make any sense, which is quite similar to what, you know, Wassler tweeted the other day, which is that people are actually pretending to be the 3 Arrows creditors, but the 3 Arrows creditors themselves are not saying those things. So it's like this very, very similar fractal.
Liquidators suck. I've been trying to actually broker the bags, and they don't even want to talk to me. They purposely are. People are hating on you guys, and even this come back to SPF as well. If they actually gave a fair pricing for those assets, everyone would be made whole. Customers, they could even restart the exchange and your fund. They just don't want to because they're like eating on that. So
yeah.
Wall
I mean, if you look at
JJR's
like posts recently where he talks about how
there's
no Bitcoin in is the it's the
liquidator
for FTX. Yeah, he basically spends the whole time bashing. Yeah, he's a huge. I mean, he's basically bashing SPF the whole time, and then saying, "But I'm holding everyone's Solana and not giving it to you. Instead, I'm going to sell it really, really cheap, and then still taking out like billions of fees. And so that's something where it's like I think in a way the
He
names
should go to
really,
jail for that.
yeah, I mean, and
Really
that's why I think the community is starting to say now, like, wait a second, like we're getting rugged harder by JJR than by SBF, because at least after SBF went down, the Solana is still in the estate. Now Solana is
SBF
$200,
actually
and
was
they're
trying
dumping it
to
at 60.
save it. SBF was trying to
Yes.
save the situation, and he was forced into bankruptcy, bro.
Yes, exactly. It's a vulture-like situation where the vultures kind of gather.
As
and
much
like,
as
okay,
I don't agree with his methods, the guy was genuinely trying to save it. He was trying to raise capital last minute, and he had capital, and the vultures were like, "Nope, this is ours now." Buy it. So,
Yeah.
and it was not even CZ's fault, CZ didn't expect that level of crazy shit to happen. So,
for sure.
so yeah, people, yeah, I think people make judgments too easily. It's like, and also it's like, if you're gonna assume something about someone, just give them a call. Like I'm sure, like right now, SBF would be more than happy to chat with anyone, but no one's letting him chat. So there's that. I mean, so I have a question about jail because that's something that, I actually thought you were a scammer until I saw your jail podcast. I'm a good judge of people's character, and I was like, you know what? He actually sounds humble because, you'll remember I kept trying to do Ox, and I'm like, people are like, don't do it. He's a scammer. He's a scammer. I'm like, I don't know, man. Let me try to call him, and I tried to call you. I think eventually we got on a call, and then we just talked, and I was like, okay, it makes sense, bro. You just got humble. Like everyone makes mistakes. You never said you were God. I make mistakes.
Sure.
You make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. No one said they're God. If they're regretful about it and they want to try to make the mistake whole, then they deserve to be given a second chance. That's all. That's all I have to say. Everyone, including, and this goes back to Islam. It's a hadith that says there was a man who killed 99 people, and that's a mass murder, right? Everyone would say this guy is going to hell. God says no, he's not going to hell because he felt really regretful about it, and then he died in that state. But since he had that inch of regret, then God sent him to paradise. So who are you to tell someone you're going to heaven or hell? Let God be the judge.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a lesson for any crypto haters, guys. Just mind your own business, and if you guys have a problem with someone, give them a call instead of threatening them or spamming them, because you are wasting your own time. You're ruining their life. And by the way, that is considered slander in Islam. Slander is a major sin, which you are now. It comes down to believing in a life after death. And my teachers say, I mean, this is an Arabic quote. It says, I don't know if you guys want to even talk about that, but yeah.
No, definitely. I'd love to hear the quote.
Let me think. What is it? It's either a quote or a poem. It says, no. Okay, so this is a narration. Okay, so the narration. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he was a companion of the Prophet. I think. Okay, I don't know the exact one. It says, it goes, معروف زماننا منكر زمان قد مضى ومنكره معروف زمان لم يأتي, which is like the sins of our time. Good of our times were considered the sins of the previous times. What we consider today as good was considered a sin before. And وَمُنْكَرُهُ مَعْرُوفُ زَمَانٍ لَمْ يَأْتِ. And what we consider today will be considered, what we consider today as evil will be considered good in the times to come. Meaning, things are only going to get worse. Like, our morality is degrading. And you see this with the Andrew Tate shit. There's just no morals left, man. The world is coming to a moral-less society, which is very scary. Which is why now I sound like a crazy conspiracy theorist. I think there's going to be a world war. I mean, this clear is going to be a world war soon. I think the world war, there's going to be robots, literally fucking robots, that are going to be controlling the earth. I mean, I think I saw a tweet about it. They said within 6 years, 3 to 6 years, artificial intelligence will be the dominant power. Probably we're all going to be slaves to it. And yeah, it's kind of what's going to happen. So that's going to be the end of the world. So I'm not even, people are like, what happens if you get sued? I'm like, bro, by the time I get sued, the world might already be over. So I might as well say whatever the fuck I want to say. But actually, there's a glad tiding there too. So this comes back to the whole story of Jesus and why Muslims don't believe Jesus is God. Because when Jesus was being crucified, that is where the difference arises in Islam and Christianity. Muslims say he was not crucified. God raised him back up to heaven. Christians say no, he was killed. Muslims say no, it seemed like he was killed, but his soul was raised. So what we believe is that Jesus will come back to earth and he will slay these robots or whatever you want to call it. They call it Dajjal. Dajjal is described in the Quran as someone who makes heaven look like hell and hell look like heaven, meaning all the temptations of this world, which is like money, girls, whatever, which is people are following, right? People chase clout, fame, money. They think that is heaven, but that is in reality hell. And hell, okay, whatever, I'm getting confused. But anyways, so Jesus will come, he'll wipe this out. Earth will be good again for like 100 years, and then, or I don't know how long. And everyone's gonna be like chilling, and then boom, the entire earth explodes. Like it's gonna be a scene like I've never seen before. This is described in detail in Surah Al-Haqqa. It says the earth will be leveled, the mountains will be leveled, the ocean will be gone. It's just gonna be a huge flat plain. And now people are like, what the fuck's going on? Okay, I shouldn't say fuck, but anyways, it's gonna be so extreme that a mom will just literally throw her baby away to run from whatever might be coming. And then people realize there's nowhere to run to. And then they will see God himself. And the description of God is not, you can't describe him because you don't know what he looks like. So this is a deep topic, but God will be there. Okay, you wanted me to describe the exact events, or is that too much of a rant?
No, definitely. I'd love to know the exact events.
Okay, so the exact, and this is not me, this is in the Quran. Okay, so this is what happens. Okay, so God is there. Okay, God is there. Everyone is now lined up in a straight line. Okay, and they're all sweating balls. And then every single prophet that came to their nation will run to the front to then plead to God for not letting their nation go to hell. And God will say, okay, let's decide. And what will happen is that every single person will go up, their good deeds and bad deeds will be weighed. It's like you ask how. So what we believe is that there's an angel on your left and an angel on your right who are constantly recording every utterance that you do. And these are all considered good or bad deeds. Some good deeds are outweigh the bad deeds, etc. So this is going to be this is like God is it's a binary thing. It's like you just have a counter, And this is why Ramadan is so blessed, because in Ramadan, any good deed you do is multiplied by like 1,000 times, million times. It's like, this is a real hack, So that's why my Ramadan, although this year has been more non-focused, but usually I spend all Ramadan literally locked in a room with my phone off. I've been doing that since I was like 8 years old, because it's like, I could sin all year and wipe it all out in like one night of Ramadan. So anyways, that happens. The scale is weighed. If your good deeds outweigh your bad deeds, then you go to heaven. And then otherwise you don't. But sometimes God can pardon people too. And then this special status is given to some people. Like, for example, I memorize the Quran, right? So there's a hadith that says anyone who memorizes the Quran can bring up to 10 people to paradise with him. So that's why I'm like, you better be my friend, because maybe that will rescue you, right? So anyways, this is like long, and then heaven itself, and then so everyone goes through this process. They walk on a thin rope. The rope is so thin, it's like a string of hair. This is now described in Surah Al-A'raf. It's one of the early surahs. They're walking to the point where it's like, if it breaks, you fall straight into the fire. But the guys who are given paradise, they will walk across it, and then there will be a conversation going on. On their left, they will see the people in the hellfire. On the right, they'll see the people of Jannah, which is paradise. The people of hellfire will say, "Hey, save me! Don't you remember I used to know you?" And they will say, "Yes, I remember you. I remember you. But the signs of your Lord came to you, but you never accepted them." And then they're like, "Okay, like, at least can you give us a drop of water?" And then they'd say, "No, you're not. We're not allowed to." And there will be like literally an angel who's like the scariest angel you could ever imagine, which is the example I use when I'm trying to get my money back. It's like the drink of hellfire is literally molten pus, and this is very vivid, you know? It's like very scary stuff. And it's not like, okay, am I going to be in there for one day? Well, they say the hellfire, one day of hellfire equals like 100,000 years of earth. So you can only imagine, right? And imagine being there for eternity. It's like every time you die in hellfire, you instantly resurrect again and then burn again. So it's like it's constant torture. So obviously, may God protect us from that. And then the heaven is just blissful paradise where it's like utopia. It's like, you know, there's wine there. People say wine is haram. Yeah, it's haram. But in heaven, everything's halal. So you have wine there, you have woman there, you have a harem. You literally have a harem. It's described. So yeah, I mean, you know, everyone that should be everyone's goal to attain eternal paradise. And the paradise has levels, and the highest level is Al Firdaus, which is the level of heaven where you hang out with Prophet Muhammad and his boys, you know, his Sahaba, some of the righteous scholars. Some might get a chance to go up there and visit for a little bit and then come back down. It's like a big building, and then the one hadith says that the best what was it? What was it say? It says the best thing you could ever witness is actually seeing Allah, which is like which is really powerful because you don't know what your creator looks like. Your creator will be like, let me bless you with a gift that you've been desiring. Here is me. And when you see him, you'll just be like in awe. So, you know, that is like pretty, I mean, it all sounds theoretical, but for me, I actually believe in it. So, yeah, so long story short, people should actually read the scriptures.
Yeah, definitely. I had the chance to read the Quran front to back in prison. It was actually one of the. I'm really glad I had that experience because otherwise, like, wouldn't have the time, right? Like, it's not something that you just do in your busy day, like, you know, scalping altcoins and trading Bitcoin, like to just like start reading. I mean, but yeah, like,
and that is why I keep saying, by the way, Islamchain, because I'm like, read between the lines. I actually want you guys to go read this book. It might help you out. Because, like, for me, the way I made money, I was barely trying. All I did was pray to God, and somehow I got money. Sometimes you overcomplicate things.
It all clicked for me why Andrew Tate is such a powerful proponent of what he is, because it's just like Islam is such a radical rejection of self-victimization, right? It's such a powerful way of saying, you know, literally nothing that you're given in this world is making you a victim.
It is not
like ever.
Yeah. No, I mean, in fact, Islam says that it is a blessing to be a victim because there's a story of Ayyub alayhi salam. I forget his name in English, but man, if you study the lives of the prophets, man, they were tested so much to the point where, like, why would God test someone who He has chosen? It's because through the tests they attained the mercy of God, you know. So it's like it's actually good to have tests sometimes. And you know, I went through a very stressful situation, and now I feel healed. It's like God healed me because I was depressed, I wasn't making money, and now money's flowing, not immediately, but in terms of the allies that I've made. Literally, the shit that's been happening in my life, like, there's people coming to me, like this guy I used to met at a party. I thought he was a random dude. He's like an angel. He's like, and he was telling me, he's like, bro, why are you here? Just leave and go back to the mosque. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You're here too. He's like, one day you shall understand what I say. I'm like, okay, cool story, bro. And then I totally understood. He's like, he's actually from the family lineage of the prophet. I feel like God just sent him to me and he woke me up and he's like, okay, if you want to meet Elon, give me 3 weeks and I'll get you a meeting with him. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. And he's been holding to his promise, bro. I was beside Elon 2 times now in the last 4 months. I just never had like the right approach. I don't want, like, everyone wanted to hang out with him, so I don't want to like go harass him, but he's actually with the girlfriend of Elon right now, ex-girlfriend. So not like banging her. I mean, just like as friend, right? So it's like I prayed to God to help me, and now God helped me, and now I don't fear these crypto LARPs because they're about to find out I'm networking on a whole different level than them. So it's not even about the money. It's about a lot of rich people only want to hang out with people they trust. They don't care about the net worth because everyone tried to use them. So yeah. Anyways, let's continue.
For sure. So Islamchain, I mean, how far along are you? What is it? I have actually no idea until this podcast exactly what you're trying to do.
I mean, it's not right now. It's in a conception stage, but Islam chain is just a chain. What is a chain, right? Is it going to be a layer one or layer two? I don't know. Probably the easiest thing is to just do an OP fork, right? Like there's the roll up as a service providers, so I'll just do that. Okay, my goal is not to like redo the entire thing from ground up. I want fast transactions and finality, which OP already provides, or ARB or whatever. So that is the easy part, in my opinion. The hard part is how do you get TVL? How do you get acceptance of it? That's what everyone layer one thrives on is the TVL. You need like an ecosystem of DApps that really everyone uses. So obviously you need an AMM for swaps, which is pretty easy. You can just copy Uniswap or whatever. But then I want to build tools that people will use. Like say, for example, myself, right? I've been scammed for money. Why don't you build a decentralized FBI, which is like all these guys like Zach, XBT are risking their lives to expose scammers and getting death threats. So let's build a decentralized FBI, which is a DAO. And you submit your case to that DAO, you put a bounty on it, and now guys like Zach who actually help solve this problem, and even people who have the connections with the FBI and shit, can prioritize and escalate the highest ticket task. And that's how because like SEC and them are doing it all wrong. Like they should just ticket it based on the highest ROI. And it's like, and they have a benefit too. They will get the right culprit because right now they're throwing the wrong people in jail. So like, I think that's like a project I want to build. And this project will have real revenue and will have literally buybacks, So this is a real business. Okay, and that's one real business. The other business is the OTC business. I know the OTC business inside out. The biggest problem with that business is counterparty risk. How do you eliminate counterparty risk? You do hardcore KYC to the point where the guy defaults. He will just does not even want to go down that rabbit hole because he'll get screwed. So now you have OTC delivery solved. That's a sick business. OTC is the largest fucking volume that flows more than sometimes even spot. So stuff like that is what I want to build. Tools that can be used. Everything's on chain. Another one is the whole vesting schedule stuff. I don't want to rely on pie charts. And also cap tables. Like in crypto, they don't share cap tables. In equity, you get the cap table. I want to know exactly which VCs are in for what percentage, because they're hiding this shit, right? So all of this stuff I've talked about for ages, and no VC wants to entertain it. All people want to do is do copy paste layer ones, layer twos. I'm so bored of it. Good, it makes money. Great, I don't care about the money. So like, I want to do these projects, and actually, I have a lot of based valley hustlers from my old days. I want to make them build it out, and that's how I'll make way more money than any VC. I want to take 10-20% of that supply because I'll make the idea, And by the way, all of my ideas have been tried. They've all been failed miserably because everyone sucks. So I'll do it myself. I'll launch my own project. I'll own the supply. I will sell it however I want. And yeah, that's my Islamchain goal. And I'd be happy to bring you guys along for it, as well as Andrew Tate and anyone who wants to invest. Even BlackRock can invest if they want. I mean, people are like, I have some crazy ass meetings lined up, so I'm gonna get the entire powers of the world behind Islamchain, and not to expose them, but to just be like, this is for the greater good of humanity. So I think that's a powerful concept. I mean, I don't know what you think. People think I'm delusional.
Sounds good, man.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we should maybe do a Islamchain launchpad thing on Ox. Here's the thing with Ox. Everyone told me Ox is a scam. I'm like, you guys just need to shut the fuck up. It's like I'd rather bet on someone who's made $1 billion and lost it than some random Jeep on fucking Fiverr.
Yeah, I mean, like back to.
By the way, what
like,
is going
Ox,
on with the Ox? Because everyone is confused about Ox.
well, OX.FUN has been live for a couple months now. It's kind of a stealth launch, I guess you call it.
But people are so confused about the whole token. There's like a OX.1, OX.2. Now Mark Lamb has a new thing going on.
So last year was kind of the formation of Ox or OX.1, right? Which came out of OpenX, which was an exchange that was focusing on FTX claims, other stuff. That did well for a while. I mean, I think during the bear market too, like, you know, it got some traction. We got some claims, got people to deposit their claims. People were trading around, but I think it was just like didn't get quite enough of a snowball going. And I realized part of the reason was that people have no problem buying the coin on chain, but they didn't really want to deposit Tether to like that kind of like an exchange, because they thought, you know, I can only make so much from trading, but I can lose it for whatever reason. And so we saw this thing where, you know, about 8,000 people bought the coin on chain on Ethereum and Arbitrum and so on. But actually we didn't translate into usage.
How many total unique holders do you guys have right now?
So right now, I would say, including the ones who deposited to OX.FUN, I think probably 8,000 ish.
That's pretty
which
good.
is quite decent, actually. It's quite decent, actually. I mean,
Yeah.
last year there were months where it was like a top 3 altcoin on Ethereum. Like it was like PayPay, Ox,
you know,
a few others.
The thing is that you guys need to clarify it, which is the reason a lot of people didn't buy it, including myself for a while. Why don't you just post the complete, transparent supply emission? Because people are worried that someone's going to dump.
Yeah, for sure. I think especially last year, there was a lot of concern about, like, you know, CoinFlex whales, like how much do they have?
Yeah.
Are they going to dump and that kind of stuff? So, you know, we are working on something for, I mean, that's part of the reason why OX2 was needed as well.
Yeah,
But
you know, like
that,
if I was
that,
you, I would not shy away from exposing that detail, because once you do that, that is when you earn the trust, right? If you're trying,
for sure.
your whole goal
for sure.
here is to earn trust. So why not just show the trust? Just show the book, like even your fundraise, right? Which is funny, you know, the whole foresight thing.
Yeah.
Which is like they can't even admit that they fucking invested. Are you serious? So then I just came ahead and said, hey, I invested 20 million, you retards. It's like, you can, how much of a pussy can you be that you invested in something and you don't even want to admit it? That is just.
Yeah.
So I guess
what I realized is that Ox is it's like one of those ultimate, like, it's so over or we're so back moments, right? It's like, you know, when we had the GTX deck leak in January 2023.
Oh yeah, true.
That was when, like, you know, FTX had blown up 2 months earlier, and then, you know, we had this GTX deck where we're like, you know, the CoinFlex guys and ourselves, we're gonna see if we can reboot CoinFlex and turn it into GTX. Kind of like G comes after F.
One quick question about CoinFlex.
Yeah.
So what's up with the whole Roger Ver thing? Because people saying he owes money to them. I mean, he's such a whale. I find it hard to believe people are like, he's liquidated. I mean, I don't think Roger Ver is ever going to get liquidated.
I mean, I can't comment myself because I'm not really a
Okay.
party to that.
Okay.
But
Okay, that's fine.
yeah,
I'll ask one.
yeah. But you know, like I was just shocked by how many people were supporting us. Like I had the impression that, you know, like crypto was like quite against or like not sure, but you know, we wanted to come back and tell our story anyways and get involved in just because we like the space. And then so many people started depositing on the exchange and then trying to buy the coin. And like it was like tens of millions of dollars of buy flow over like a couple months. And I think like that was actually really humbling to see. And I think from that I realized that like crypto is such the ultimate, like, you know, if everyone's if it's divisive but then people are passionate about it, then it's still very good, right? The key is to have something that people think is a really strong product and a really strong mission as well. So I think for us, the OX.FUN roadmap is really all about being Binance of meme coins, being able to accept meme coin collateral, all sorts of collateral. That's what FTX did really well, right? Which is portfolio margin. You can use, you know, your SOL, your FTT, all that kind of stuff, and trade with it. And I think then after FTX collapsed, the market has shied away from those mechanisms now. Now they're very much into like, okay, you can only use dollars, you can only use USDT, USDC. Like DeFi has kind of really, the speed of innovation has really slowed in terms of what you can do with coins that are not like the major coins. I think there's been a lot of innovation on like ETH restaking and like native token restaking, but there's been very little on like, you know, outside of maybe ERC 404, there's just been very little innovation on the other stuff. So that's kind of what we're really focused on. And a lot of it's just like a lot of the ideas that we always wanted people to try last cycle, but like people didn't do it or like it was too experimental. So I mean, I consider the whole thing a big experiment, and I think it's like I really feel blessed that like have had so many supporters and people continually, you know, want to keep seeing it grow. So that's kind of like, you know, it's part of the mission, I guess, and it's also part of the it's part of the journey for us.
Gotcha. Well, I wish the best luck to you guys.